All right, guys, we are back with another great episode of Basscast Radio. I am your host, Brian Carter, and as always, Hank the Bass Geese with us. What is happening, brother?
Man, just living the grind, as I always say. Uh, Trying to get in a little bit of fishing, getting ready to go down. Won't be with us next week because, as I always say, I'll be, sitting on the beach, drinking a beer and pissing in the ocean. You know what I'm
There we
saying?
go. There we go. You're only
So,
going to hear that right here at Basscast Radio. Geek, man, tell them a little bit about the video you dropped today. Well, you're going to be dropping it. You dropped it yesterday.
Yes, yes. So I dropped a pretty good video. We go to a Highlands Reservoir, a small lake that not a lot of people know about, and it's the first time I've fished it. I won't say it's the first time I've fished it. I fished it about 7, 8 years ago, but I didn't even fish it. I went up there and graphed it for a buddy of mine, and found a couple of things. I think we made 3 casts all day, but went up there and we only caught 5, but it was the hottest day of the year,
Mm-hmm.
dead middle of the day. We were catching them on top water baits over 40 and 50 foot of water. And yeah, man, we put together, we would have finished, I think they had a night tournament that night, and we would have finished second in that night
Oh,
tournament.
wow.
So, and we were catching them the hottest time of the day.
That's crazy.
90 up in the mountains. It's like 93 degrees that day. Water temps
Right.
got up to about 84, and
Ooh.
We just found an area where on those Highlands reservoirs, man, I like those channel swings, especially this time of year. Your shad have spawned. Uh, and what we found was a couple of stick ups, basically blowdowns that had,
Right.
turned upside down, and they had shad fry all around them, huge balls of shad fry. And so you had all this shad, the bigger shad kind of circling the area. And so as those groups of bass would come into that shad fry, they would eat, and you could throw some baits over, and if they were higher in the water column, super clear water, 12 to 15 feet visibility, and if they would come in 4 or 5 feet deep, say 5 to 10, you could take that top water and just work it over top of them, and they'd just go crazy. They'd come up and just slurp it, and it was
It's
fun.
awesome, man. All right, guys. So head on over. I've shared it to all of our social media, even what's that new one called? Threads. Yeah, I've shared it to Threads as well. So it's all up there. Head on over. Make sure you guys give Bass Geek a follow as always and a thumbs up. It's been quiet around here, guys. I've been posting a lot of content. Plus, this weekend, the Basscast Kayak Series kicks back off again.
Nice.
And we're going to be down in Alta Vista, Brookneal area. Fishing was at Stanton River. So looking forward to that. So make sure you guys sign up. We've had a great year so far this year. I think we averaged about 25 different kayaks. So we're doing better than a lot of different events that I know going around here with kayaks. So thank you guys all for being a part of that. And guys, tonight we got Mr. Derik Hudson with us in the studio, and Bryan Pratak is going to be with us, and we're going to talk about the Major League Fishing Tackle Warehouse Invitational. We're going to be taking a look back at their 2023 season. Both were rookies, and what it's like being on the road, what it's like, the expenses, and we're going to break it all down for you guys, and for you guys who are looking at reaching this goal. And for those, we know Gray Buck qualified for next year. You guys all know Gray's been on the show quite a few times. And he'll be fishing the Bass Pro Shop, Major League Fishing Tour next year. So for you guys who are looking to make that next step, Derik and Bryan are going to help you guys break it down for you and give you guys some tips and some ideas. So guys, we'll be right back. All right, guys, in the house, Derik Hudson and Bryan Pratak. What is up, man? Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule tonight to hang out with us. You guys all know Derik lives down the road from me. So
well, I'm here, man. I couldn't pass up this opportunity to come see him again.
It's getting rough up in here already. So
that's awesome.
Thank you. So we got a few questions. Thought I'd ask you guys, but Brian, a lot of you guys already
Yeah.
know Derik. Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you qualified to fish the Tackle Warehouse Invitationals.
Yeah, so I actually think I finished like 31st or something like that in points. Obviously, they changed the invite rules last year due to a lot of guys leaving, and they went down the list. And that's how I actually qualified, was through the Central Division. I'd actually been fishing the coasties for 3 years and working my way up, and was not expecting to had qualified for the invitationals by any means. But when I got that phone call, like any person else that would get that phone call, I immediately called all my sponsors that I had, and I was very fortunate that I was able to, get that extra help to make that jump, because if I had not gotten that help, it would have been pretty difficult to make it all happen. But yeah, that's how I ended up doing it, working my way up. Started at the BFLs, went to college, I'm a Saluki, Southern Illinois University, fished on the college program for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, I graduated with a special ed degree, and I went and did my student teaching, and I met somebody there that really inspired me to go and take this leap of faith. And I signed up the next year for the FLW tour as a co-angler.
Right.
And, that's how it all started. I did that for 3 years, was fortunate enough to make the Forest Wood Cup every year. And that's what lit the fire for me to pursue this. And now here at the age of 35, I just finished up my rookie season. So
he is young, guys.
Well, being the bass geek that I am, him putting that little blip out there that he made the Forest Wood Cup 3 years in a row consecutively as a co-angler. That is no small accomplishment. Let's don't humble that one down, because that is truly hard work right there.
Awesome.
Being the worst co-angler in the history of the world myself, I can say that is one heck of an accomplishment.
And I appreciate it. Those were probably the 3 most stressful tournaments, not because obviously of the $50,000 on the line as the co-angler purse. What the stress for me came from those is, at that time, the Forest Wood Cup was still $500,000.
Yep.
And that was the most stress, because I know I'm in the back of the boat of another man, that this is our livelihood. This is a championship. And that's how my mindset worked, is as much as I saw it as a loophole and an ability to learn, man, I saw some stuff that I'm like, even the most respectful guy, even a guy that's doing everything fair and square, you still are catching fish in a man's area that is fishing for a lot of money. So that's why the stress for me came from. But I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I appreciate the kind words there. But still, Derik's Angler of the Year in the Centrals and the Coastal Division. Again, that man right there, and what he went through, and that's another story for another day. But that's how Derik and I met. Derik actually was broken down the first day of the tournament. On the last tournament, Angler of the Year's on the line. He was broken down, but no one else is around. I was the man that came out of nowhere and was able to rescue him, get him into weigh-in on time with a minute to spare. And that is how him and I actually became friends. And he went and weighed his fishing.
Couldn't done without you, buddy.
He comes down and he gave me a shout out on stage, but he's got this big smile on his face, and I'm thinking it's from joy of, hey man, my Angler of the Year is still on the line. He looks at me and he gets in my boat and he says, hey, I really appreciate it, but you didn't tell me that you were leading the tournament. And I said, and I said to him, I said, Derik, it's not about me. This is your moment. That's what it was about, is getting you in. And because I didn't mention to him, I just had the biggest bag of my life weighed in the front of the boat. And
that's just a testament to the kind of guy Brian is. I mean, he's talking about being a co-angler, and the biggest tournament of his fishing career at the time, 3 years in a row, and all he could care about was not jeopardizing the boater who had an even bigger prize and bigger, accolade at the end of it. He didn't want to jeopardize them. And the same way was at that tournament at Chickamauga. I remember I jumped in the boat. We had the ride over there. We had a slow.
It was wild. It was
all
wild.
the way up to the boat ramp. He never once mentioned that he was leading that event that first day.
That's awesome.
Oh, that is awesome.
So I got 10 questions, guys.
Yes.
We're gonna I want to start with number 1. I'll let Geek start with 2. We're just gonna because I kind of did plan on doing this earlier because we're supposed to have a couple other anglers on with us tonight.
Cool.
So I thought we would I thought it'd be easier to do it this way. So sort of because I did want to keep it a certain time length for everyone who's watching as well as listening.
Well, it's no secret. It's no secret. The other 2 anglers that we were talking about putting in this podcast were invitational anglers also. We were going to do a whole invitational wrap up, and it was going to be Martin Villa and Steve Lopez, and both of them are in places that they can't do this. So just to add this in there. So Martin, his grandmother passed away, and he's in the middle of fishing the second Northern Toyota to try to qualify for the championship on St. Lawrence River. So he's going through a lot right now. Give him some prayers for sure.
Absolutely.
But also Steve Lopez, he's traveling across the country. He's living like a wild man right now. So I thought it would be good, since both of them were not in a good position to do this, to just talk about the rookie season. And maybe we could do another podcast later with those 2.
That'll work.
But the rookie season, I think that, I'm friends with Marshall Robinson. Congratulations to him winning Rookie of the Year. That's super huge accomplishment. And he made the BPT. Wow, what a season. And Drew Gill, I'm good friends with him, and he finished second. But those 2 guys are stand-up guys, and they're going to get plenty of podcasts. But I think that me and Bryan really have an invaluable thing to share that, there's a lot of other anglers that have not so good seasons. And I know me and Bryan both had higher expectations than our season ended up at the end of the year, but we kept a positive mind throughout the season. And that's what I really want to highlight in this podcast, is that chasing your dream is not always beautiful. It's not always, you're not going to win every event, but you got to keep, you got to keep your head in there, because it's still an amazing ride.
And we did have Mr. Robinson on last week, and his dad. So, because they both fished it together. So we got to go back and, talk about that whole entire fishing.
I didn't even know that.
Yes. Yes. So we had him on last week, and we talked about, going back and forth, sharing ideas, and talking about being a young angler and, coming up through the ranks and, winning, like you said, Angler of the Year. So, Rookie Angler of the Year.
Rookie of the Year, yeah.
Rookie of the Year.
Marshall, great dude. Drew Gill, who finished second and finished 1 spot out of the BPTs. My heart goes to that guy, but he's an accomplished angler. He did amazing this year. If he doesn't let this get him down, he is going to do great things in this industry.
All right, let's start this bad boy off. First of all, what made you guys want to actually participate in this, the Tackle Warehouse Invitationals, man?
You want me to take it first, Bryan?
You can take it first.
Well, I think that a lot of the words I'm probably going to say, Bryan will probably just shake his head and be like, yep, I feel the same way. But we anglers, this is our dream. Our dream to be fishing with the best of the best on the biggest stage, professional fishing. If you follow the sport in any way, capacity, tournament fishing, you idolize to be at that top level. And this is obviously one step below it. The invitationals, we had so many BPT guys drop down and fish against us this year. It is about as good as it can get for a rookie to test his abilities and to get out there and really learn from the best of the best. It was a dream come true.
Go ahead, B.
Yeah, just to follow that again, this was the stepping stone. I obviously wanted to make our whole goal when you do this, whether you're going to go to Bass or whether you're going to go to the BPT, you have your building blocks. So I wanted to obviously work my way up with MLF because that's where I've started my entire career, from the college to fishing as a co-angler on the FLW, and then obviously the coasts. So it was always my plan to work my way up. I didn't think I was going to qualify as fast as I did.
Right.
But that is exactly why. Again, this is the only way to the BBTs. Again, I knew I was giving myself a 4-year program, and I made it in 3 because of the qualifications changing. And absolutely, yes, it is a dream. Yes, all that stuff, personal stuff aside. But if this is what you want to do with your life and turn tournament fishing into a profession, you have to follow this progression.
Right.
And I saw the opportunity. I didn't want to look back in life and say, man, I didn't give it a go.
I know.
And I knew that, as I always say sometimes in life, everyone's like, man, you don't want to bite more off than you can chew. But if you do that, as you're going to hear here in our stories, that you just got to just keep chewing and keep going forward. And sometimes it's going to be the most humbling experience of your life.
Yeah, I've got a buddy that's always says trust the process. So and that's and we know where if anybody's a college football fan, we all know where that's from. But it's true in the tournament angling world too. There's a process.
Yes,
to it,
there's absolutely a process.
So guys, tell us about your most memorable catch of the year, and set us up a little bit. Tell us a little bit about the situation.
I'll take this one first, Brian.
Okay. Well, you are the older one. You're my older brother. So you clear those cobwebs out for me.
All right, go ahead.
My most memorable catch from this year is probably the first catch.
Okay.
Because the first catch really set the path for me, because I had found a really good spot. We started at Okeechobee, Lake Okeechobee, iconic fishery. Brian, being a tour co-angler, he had fished there before. Steve knew grass like the back of his hand, as my rooming partners. I went there. I was a blank slate. I didn't have a clue. I had gone pre-practice just to learn how to navigate the place. But even after that pre-practice, I was like, this is just a whole new element. Well, I found some fish, and you always get, that's part of this sport. When you find fish in practice, you get pumped up. That's what gives you confidence. And it's amazing how many people win tournaments that had horrible practice, and they don't have that confidence, but they build it up in the event. And I had the exact opposite factor. I had found the fish in practice and felt really good, and had 2 great rooming buddies, and we were sharing information, and I was like, dude, it's going to be awesome. Pull up to the first spot and grinded, and not a bite to show for it. And people around me are catching them. And Sean Anderson was one of those guys. I had just met him. He was a rookie this year. Super great dude from South Carolina. He pulled up on the same reed head that I was fishing, and he was catching them just about every cast. And I'm just seeing this unfold, and I'm like, this is what's going to test me as an angler. I'm either going to fall apart right here, or I'm going to just keep on grinding like I've done in Toyota Series and BFLs. And you sometimes you do start off bad, and I finished that tournament with a limit every single day. And even though I didn't get a check, it was a huge confidence booster going through the rest of the season that I can do it. I can catch these limits. I can, even if I have a bad start and stumble or fall or whatever. And I caught a limit every single day of competition. And that first fish, I remember it very vividly, because I had done this sweep of like 3 reed heads that I had crushed them on in practice, shook a bunch of fish off, and was like, this is going to be where it's at. And those guys were catching them there, and I wasn't. And I turned away, and there was this one stick up that was like a little brush pile, and it was off of the reed head. And I flipped over to it, and I caught my first fish. And that fish just like settled me down. And that one fish just gave me the, you still know how to catch them. You can do this. Just keep your head focused.
They're still green. They still got big mouths. Okay.
Yep, and they still eat. Yep.
Well, for me, I have to say it's gonna be on the Potomac River. You know, I rode the struggle bus pretty hard this year. I mean, I didn't cash my check until the last event of the year, which was at La Crosse, but I'm still gonna have to say the Potomac River. This particular fish catch, it happened on day 2 of the event. Day 1, I was sitting with like 12 and almost 13 pounds, which again, that's normally a really good bag on the Potomac. This go around, and with this level of competition now, and everybody getting better and better and better, it's amazing how the cut weights have always are going up. When I was fishing as going on FLW Tour, the saying used to be, you catch 12 pounds a day anywhere in the country, you're going home at 10 grand. Well, that saying, I'm going to say now that's like 13 and a half a day might get you that last $8,000 check. So day 2, I'm right outside of that top 50 cut. And I had some motor issues on day 1, thought I had them resolved for day 2. I'm running down to my area on day 2, and I get to my area, and immediately I have all kinds of alarms going off.
Ooh.
And it was, you know, I knew that I was gonna have to make the best of this and camp in this area and fish it thoroughly. And I started catching fish, and I'm sitting on some, you know, decent fish. I think I had 4 fish for like 10 and a half pounds. But I knew that wasn't going to cut it. And I had these motor problems. So I knew in my heart, I was like, hey, you're going to have to try to make it back to the ramp. Let's start up this motor and see what can happen. Well, I start up the motor. It's running okay, bad shape, but we limp back 8 miles. I go to fish this spot. And what happens next is just it's crazy. So I go to fish this grass mat, and I'm fishing it, and I'm right outside of takeoff, and I'm thinking I can catch one because I caught a limit there the day before. So I'm thinking, no way I can catch one more. I need 5 fish, and I am fishing this grass mat, working my way up to the area, and again, this lady meant no harm. I want to specify this. This lady did nothing to sabotage me in any way. But she was in a yacht. They were beached outside, and her dog had to go to the bathroom. So she took the dog in the little dinghy. I have this on GoPro, and runs it right through the grass mat. Right.
Oh my gosh.
Fish is. And it was a sign. I'm telling you guys, it was a sign that I was not supposed to be there. I was supposed to be where I caught all my fish, and I was supposed to end out my limit there and figure out how I'm going to get back. So I'm laughing. I'm looking up the guy upstairs, and Derik and I are really strong on our faith. And I was laughing. I said, I know what you're doing. You don't want me to be here. It's evident now. I mean, you could have driven her boat. She could have driven the boat any other direction when she went right over the juice. So I do it. I pull my trolling motor up, guys. I run all the way back down where I started my day.
Oh my goodness.
I'm pulling into the area. This is on, I got it on my Facebook page and the videos on my Instagram. And I'm running down there. I got about 45 minutes to fish, maybe an hour. I shut down and all my alarms go off. I go into guardian mode. It's over now. I mean, we're there. And I'm trolling motoring up to this grass clump where I caught all these fish. And I'm screaming at a guy who turns out to be Lane Olson. I'm yelling to these guys over there saying, hey, I'm broken down. You don't have to come now, but don't leave me. Because I'm broken down. And I come into this grass clump, and I'm about to make my cast with this frog to where I caught these fish. And all of a sudden, one blows up way over here. Not even where I was even going to make a throw. And I fire that frog over there, and that fish eats it immediately. I set the hook, and I felt like in my heart, I had a shot at making the cut if I land this fish. And I'm fighting this fish, and I'm water skiing it, and we've all been here, I'm gonna swing it. I'm gonna boat flip it, and I go to flip it, And no doubt in my mind, me being excited and an opportunity of finally making cuts on the line, I high stick my rod, and and my rod explodes, and the fish ricochets off of the gunnel, and I reach down, scoop up the fish. I'm just like in disbelief. Now I'm screaming with everything in my body for Lane Olson to come over and get these fish. And he runs them all the way back in, and I missed the cut by 3 ounces.
Oh,
and, so it was the highest of highs in a moment and the lowest of lows. But it again, that is a moment to have it all in film is pretty special, and have a story that's like this. I had an opportunity to share it with you guys, and it definitely makes for some great fishing stories. And as you guys know, doing these podcasts, it's all about the stories, man.
yeah, that's right.
That's awesome. How did your expectations for the 2023 season going into it compared to the actual reality of what actually happened?
Go ahead, Bryan.
I tell you what, I'm not too bashful about it. It definitely was, to sum it up, was probably one of the toughest mental years of my fishing career, hands down. The mental toughness. I definitely have grown as an angler, but my expectations starting this was, I felt like I could cash 3 to 4 checks, and I didn't even come close to that. I cashed 1 check. So my expectations definitely weren't met, but I realized, goes back to what Geek was saying early on, is you can't skip steps. And I know that I was rushing myself a little bit, took the opportunity to come out here, but it showed to me where I was at an angler, and as you look at my results, as Derik was saying, I was proud that I caught a limit every day except for 2. And I was always just 1 difference maker fish, a 3 solid 3-pounder away. And that's, as we'll go on into this, that was it. But yeah, I mean, my expectations, I definitely fell short, but I was proud to say that, like Derik was saying early on, that I didn't give up. I'm glad I stuck it through the season, because there was definitely some times that it wasn't looking so bright and shiny and rainbows and butterflies. That's for sure. It was looking pretty dark and grim at a certain point throughout the season. So
yeah,
well, the good thing is, it sounds like you got better. You got a handle on it. You said you cashed that check there at the end of the year. So,
absolutely. Finish strong for sure, Geek.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I told myself looking through this, is that and Derek said this many times, and it really stuck home with me, is you can't have a testimony without a test. And we were definitely tested this year, and it definitely, at least I got that glimpse at the end, like you're saying, Geek, is that, like Derik was saying just a few minutes ago, I saw that I can do this. I saw that I have the ability to be out here. This isn't a pipe dream. This isn't, I got my sign that I know that you just got to do better, got to keep working hard, because can't even say that anymore, because everyone works hard. Yeah. You truly have to learn how to catch your bites, how to fish clean. So important at this level to fish clean. Everyone's so good. And absolutely the number one thing I learned this year, though, is right here.
Yeah.
It is a game of mental toughness that you absolutely better be 100% rock solid up here.
Yeah.
You're going to be tested.
I'm going to piggyback off of that a little bit, because if you go back and you look at all the Bass Cast posts from winners, like when Patrick Walter won, or when any of those anglers win events, your mental ability, your mental toughness is one of the crucial things all across every pro angler knows that is so vitally important in this sport. And I think that that's one of the main things I wanted to share with this podcast, was us being anglers that kind of struggled at the beginning and truly got our teeth kicked in a little bit. And
100%, man.
I fished 3 Toyota series this year and I cashed checks in all 3 of them, but then you go to the next level and it's just a totally different ball game. And I think that was a godsend in a way, because I know personally my mental game ramped up tremendously this year. If you're talking about what you can do to work out your body, like if you want to get good at a bench press, you need to get under it and struggle with a bunch of weights, heavy weights, over and over and over and over and over again. The same thing with mental abilities. If you want to be a better angler, get your teeth kicked in a couple of times, figure out that you need to step up in this aspect or this aspect, and it will make you a better angler. And that's one thing I learned this year for sure.
Yeah, I even fished I just fished the BFLs this year, fished a different series, fished the mountain division, because it sets up for what I like to do, deep, Del Holla's deep, I'm a big Demiki rig guy, kind of know that real well. And, was on the bass to finish top 5, win those. And I really thought I was going to have that sort of, first 2 tournaments, and they did not go my way. It was complete mental breakdowns. It was 100% on me. It was 100% me. My second best spot of the first tournament, a guy did a video, he finished 4th. I was like, but it was 100% my fault why I didn't catch him on my best spot. So abandon it too quick, come back later, broke a big one off and put a dink in the boat, and that's the only fish I weighed for the tournament. And then, so it is, tournament fishing is learning to overcome the doubts and the second guessing. It really is.
For you guys who all, longtime listeners of the show, me and Geeka brought up many times that the anglers know what to do. I mean, you guys have spent hours and hours and hours on the water. You know what to do. Yeah. It's the 80% that when you get spun out, when it all goes to crap and you can't put it all back together.
I would even say that we all know where to do it now with space and sonar, with all this tournament footage from all these different places. I never found a spot this year that I was like, had it all to myself. No one knew about it.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy to see that at that level, that everybody can find it. Everybody can do it. It's just it's a mental game at that point.
And that's the thing, at your all's level, everybody can catch fish.
Yeah.
So it's not it's really, the difference is not about who can catch them. It's about who's going to be in that right mental capacity, and, a few other things sprinkled in there.
Yeah. And going back to what Bryan said, I think, it used to be a time in this professional era that you catch 5 at every tournament, you're probably going to be in contention for Angler of the Year. You're probably going to win a lot of events, but it's not like that anymore. There's so many great anglers that know so much above and beyond now that just catching 5 doesn't mean a whole lot anymore. You need to catch 5 and some good ones on top of that. You gotta have some fortune your way. You gotta have God bless you with those bigger fish, because it's tough out there.
Keeps reading this question, by the way, guys.
Sorry, I thought we were
we're on question number 3 now.
Did you spell them in Japanese?
Yeah, no, that's your question. Your number 3.
No, I did my question. We're on number 4, guys.
Oh, okay. We're on number 4.
We skipped one? Okay.
Yeah, that is. So
no, number 3 was the expectations.
Yeah, 3 was the expectation, guys.
So number 4 is, what was the biggest challenge? What was the biggest challenge your first season that you had to overcome? And I guess give us a little bit of detail about that.
Yeah, I definitely would say it's the mental. It's the trying to figure out in 8 hours, not just how to catch 5, but how to catch 5 and a few kickers, and then also give yourself some time to practice for the next day, because the guys are going to bring the heat the second day. It's a totally different mental game. And I think that me, Bryan, and Steve Lopez, my other rooming buddy, all of us rooming together, we definitely saw that throughout the season, how we at the beginning really struggled, and we had great practices. Don't get me wrong, we had great practices, and you would have thought we were going to be first, second, third every event, but it didn't roll down that way. And to keep our heads in the game, and at the end of the year, finish the last event with all three of us making the top 50 cut, and Steve even getting a second place finish out of it, you can tell our mental game skyrocketed for that diversity, that adversity that we had.
Yeah.
Truly catapulted our mental game for sure.
Oh, I will piggyback on that as well. I mean, it was like a movie, guys. I'm telling you, and the ups and the downs, and really, I mean, it started out that these three guys, we all started on this great adventure, and we're all going to make it. We're all excited. And honestly, when I walked in that first pre-term meeting, I even said to both of them, I said, man, we just walked into the Top Gun. Like, this is,
Yeah.
and not everyone's going to make it. Not everybody's going to have a great year. I mean, again, when you're only paying 50 spots and there's 150 guys, that means there's 100 guys every tournament going home to their wives and girlfriends and telling them, hey, I just took $5,000 in an entry fee.
Yeah.
And it didn't go so hot.
And when you turned your head around on swivel, it was like a 30-year angler here, a 25-year angler here.
Yeah.
Like,
you start running them statistics, it didn't look so good. It wasn't as easy as what the paper puts it on there either. But for me, I'd have to say the biggest thing was my last tournament. That last tournament is crucial for what's going to happen to me in the future. That was so crucial to finally cross that off, finally get the elusive in my mind, the elusive check, cash a check, close the deal, make the cut. There were so many things that I crossed off my list, because I was doing the locking deal, and you had to fish. I had my time management down. I had all that mental stuff going on with the lock and getting to your fish and fishing clean and knowing where you need to be, that time management and everything. And then execution, right? Having the game plan, running it flawlessly, catching the fish, getting back, weighing them in, doing your job. That was huge for me, is to get that closure, to get that result that we're all going out for, because a lot of people say, well, tournament fishing shouldn't be all about cashing checks. I agree to that to a point. Unless it's your profession, it's kind of imperative that you cash a check.
At that level, your all's level, it's definitely imperative.
It is. And again, it goes back to not everyone's going to get a check. It is so difficult to cash a check every single event or 5 out of 6 events. And these guys that do it, 6 times in a row or 5 times in a row or 4 times in a row, man. I mean, it's truly, fishing's one of them things. Absolutely. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it out there. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about fishing in general. Anybody can pick up a rod and reel and experience that unbelievable dopamine of when you get that bite, right? I mean, that's it, right? That's why we're all on TikTok, we're all on Instagram, we're all running reels, because our dopamine is like, what's going to happen next? And that is the beautiful thing of fishing, is that bite. But when you enhance that with tournament fishing, and you enhance that with a $5,000 entry fee, and you enhance that with all the things, and Derik and Steve both have something that I don't have. I do not have a wife. I do not have kids. Both of them do. And I know how stressed I was at, but knowing that when you're a man and you're a provider and you have all these things that you're responsible for, you're out there. That's the thing that I'm so blessed that I got to travel with these two men, is that I got to see truly how all of us dealt with these issues throughout the year. So in closing of that, is that last tournament was definitely imperative.
Are you trying to take a break?
Yes. All right, guys, we got Bryan Pratak and Derik Hudson on with us tonight. And we are talking about their inaugural season fishing the Major League Fishing Tackle Warehouse Invitational. All right, guys, looking back on the season, man, let's talk about your skills, as an angler, because you did go to a lot of brand new bodies of water, like you were talking about earlier, Derek, that you never been to.
Yeah, your skills basically mean nothing at this level. You have to have a fine base on some things around your local ponds that can help you with a single event or two. But if you want to be truly competitive at the top level, you need to start making those trips to the northern fisheries and catching smallmouth. You need to start spending a lot of time on grass fisheries. You need to there's so many different fisheries and techniques out there that your skills locally can only get you but so far. You really need to start thinking broader than that.
And before we go to you, Brian, real quick on this right here, you guys all know we do the Virginia Top 25 list each and every year. It blows up. I've got a lot of people help me with that list. I ain't gonna lie, I do go through it, add a few names, subtract a few names, but that's what it's really about. I mean, you can be a big stick on your home lake, just like what Derek's saying. Everybody, I mean, you fish it. What is it? Probably 3 times, maybe 2 times during the week, 2 days on a weekend if you fish both days. I mean, 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah, most local
you should
hammers
have that thing memorized.
They spend half the year, 150 days or more on a body of water, and that's why they're local hammer. But they take it to another body of water that has, if they're fishing a clear Highland impoundment that's got 200 foot of water, and they take it to Okeechobee where your deepest spot is 15 feet. You're gonna be totally lost.
Number one, I'm gonna be scared to death to run on that lake because I'm used to being over 200 foot of water.
That's for you guys who say, why don't I make the list? There's your answer. You need to expand, go out and fish other bodies of water, and you don't have to win them all. Just show someone that, hey, you're willing to try. All right, go ahead, Brian. I apologize.
And can you just repeat that, Brian, that question we're on?
Talking about your skills and how they evolve throughout the season, fishing new bodies of water that you've never been to before.
Yeah. For me, this was also of the 6 tournaments, I had been to 4 of the 6 already. So that definitely also was a deciding factor for me to take that jump as well to go do it. But definitely, I would say the number one thing that I learned big time that I cannot stress enough that you do not skip on this is doing your preventive maintenance to your equipment and absolutely making sure that you have all of your gear in tip-top shape. Your rods, reels, and tackle, everything needs to be extremely organized. And definitely doing the map study, Google Earth, all those things for sure. Those, as we talked a little bit about this, that's the difference makers now. Is the difference makers comes down to that time management, making those right decisions on the water, being prepared. That's big time for sure. That I know that even a person like me, that I definitely saw that I needed to do a better job of that in the future.
All right.
So,
okay, you're gonna have to edit this out. Are we on 7 or 8?
6.
6.
Wait, I want to jump back to that last one for just a second. I want to talk about something.
Okay.
So, talking about how your skills evolved as an angler throughout the season. I think one of the most overlooked parts of growing as an angler is getting out there and growing as an angler. Like actually, like Brian said, jumping into this head first, going out and doing it, because I can tell you right now, Martin Villa made the BPT, accomplished great angler and a local hammer. You don't want to fish against him locally, but last year was actually his first year at this same level, and he had some checks, but he didn't knock it out the park, and it was a learning curve. And talking to him last year about it, and we did podcasts with him. He had some good finishes, but he also had some that he's like, I learned so much, and my skills were not ready for that body of water and all that. And then turned around this year because he fished last year and he learned that stuff and he grew as an angler. He comes out this year swinging and makes the BPT and has 5 out of 6 checks out of the series. So
Mhm.
I think that's a true testament to how your skills evolve. You got to get into it. And I tell this all the time to people that are just interested in the sport. Get in a BFL as a co-angler.
Oh
That's
yeah.
the best way to get in and start learning,
Yes.
like
Yes.
just seeing how did that guy skip underneath the 100 docks today? Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy. I need to learn how to do that. Your level just goes through the roof from just somebody interested. That's the best way to get into it.
Yeah, I tell people
Oh, we
that
could
all
do
the
a whole
time.
segment on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, I fished as a co-angler for 3 years. I was the worst co-angler because I've been on the front of a boat, my whole life. And
Yeah.
so I went into it completely wrong, but I learned a ton about my local lakes. I learned a ton about boat ramp etiquette.
Oh, yeah.
How to be in a bigger tournament and maneuvering and backing a down the ramp when it's completely dark and horrible lights. Yeah, I mean the basic stuff that you can pick up from it.
And
Absolutely.
what you just said goes back to the mental game we were just talking about. Some of
Yeah.
the best co-anglers I've ever known loved being a co-angler. They loved it. They ate it up. They were happy to be there. They were happy to learn. They didn't want to be at the front of the boat the entire time. That wasn't where their headspace was. They weren't thinking about, if I was a boater, where would I take us? They truly were appreciating the spot in the back, and they made the best of it. Those were some of the most accomplished co-anglers I've ever
Yeah.
seen.
Now for me,
And it's all about mental toughness.
For me, I was always, my boaters loved me. I was always a great net man,
Yeah.
but I just didn't realize. Okay, I was a power fisherman,
Oh, yeah.
101. This is well before live scope and all that. And so here I'm wanting to throw giant swim baits and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And so I had to learn. I had to learn to I need to be throwing a shaky head in a Ned rig and a drop shot, and but for me, it was that I felt like for me, I was paying for my education. That's what I was doing. That's how I looked at it.
Yeah.
That was me, going to elementary school, high school.
I feel your
learning a little
pain
bit.
because I told my buddy Jason Hinger, who's a really accomplished co-angler, I said I can never make it as a co-angler because I have been running the front of the boat with my dad since I was like 11 years old.
Yeah.
And if I went to the back of the boat, I feel like I'm punished or something. I wouldn't feel right.
Yeah.
But if you are interested in this sport, the co-angler side is a great place to start. If you've never done anything with fishing before and you want to get into it, it's an amazing place for that.
Yeah, and that's one thing, you always hear the argument is, well, I don't know about fishing with people I don't know. I never had one bad boater. I never had one boater that was, and then look, I understand a lot of people are like, well, you're paying your money, you want to be competitive. I get that from the back of the boat.
Yeah.
But I fished with a guy, he traveled with me this year, and the dude was live scoping, and he caught big fish for the first tournament on Del Hollow because he adapted. He took a tiny swim bait and fan cast the area, not encroaching on his boater, and he caught fish. You just have to. You can't be like, well, I'm not over here beating the bank, and it makes me mad, dadgummit.
Yeah.
I mean, you
that mental game.
when you get mad and irritated, and you close your mind and you don't catch fish. I mean, you've got to.
Simple.
My favorite, the best I think I ever did, the thing I'm probably the most proud of. I probably caught 3 whopping keepers the whole season, but every single bite that I had, I boated, whether it's keeper or not. The cleanest year of fishing I've ever had in my life. Because as a co-angler, fishing clean is so much more important than doing it as a boater. I mean, as a boater, I get it in the BFLs.
You got a lot.
You're only
less
gonna
shots on
get
goal.
you're only going to get so many shots. So, and that was probably the proudest thing I accomplished as a
That's
coach.
a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, you learn so much from every guy. Guys may not be on them, and I would go out and practice, and by myself, and out of my boat, and then come back. But I would never first off, this is the one thing I will knock on most boaters, including myself. We don't ever want to hear about your what you call practice as a co-angler until we ain't catching them.
Oh my goodness!
And I'll be the same. I'm the same exact way, right? Because we have to fish our water our way, and that's something that's a difference between a co and a pro, right?
Yeah.
But I tell people all the time. I go on about this all day. Anyway.
Oh, absolutely. That could have been a whole show right there.
Yeah. So, all right, I'll jump into the next question. What are the specific lessons and insights you gained during the series that you believe significantly improved a specific technique or maybe a group of techniques for during this season that maybe you got a little better at, maybe you wasn't so good at? What was maybe a technique you feel better about?
Go ahead, Bryan.
Man, that's a tough one because again, it goes back to what we kind of been saying is, everybody at this level, you don't jump into this level if you can't catch fish. So we definitely all know how to catch them. We all have our strengths and even our weaknesses that we do have. You power through it, and you definitely. And there's guys that will tell you this. They don't even try to do their weaknesses. You just go and do what you are really good at, and you can make a living out there. If you're a shallow water power fisherman, you can do it. If you are a deep water, and I think that was the biggest thing I also learned. And you go back, and I'm not going to name drop any guys, but you definitely go look at the guys that were really, really good at, say, fishing deep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they tried to go shallow, and it didn't work out so well. Then you saw guys that were very well-known shallow water powerhouse guys, and they go out and fish deep, and it didn't work so well. And this year, with 70 rookies, we saw a lot of that. We saw a lot of these guys, a huge rookie class, and we saw that. We saw this huge thing that normally in the normal season, you don't see that huge leaderboard shakeup because there's way more veterans than there are rookies. But when you have 70, that really was the biggest thing.
Almost half the field.
Half the field. Yeah. So the biggest thing is going back. I can tell you that as you saw it through the progression is that was it. The guys that figured out how to be a lot more mentally tough and really figure out, hey, I'm going to go do this because this is what I'm good at.
Yeah.
Fish your strength. And it goes back to the saying, when you make it to the big dance, you dance with who brought you. And that was the biggest thing is that you at this level, you're not learning a new technique. You're not learning a new deal. If you try to do that at this level, it's not going to end well. The things that you do, though, is say, okay, you're a shallow water powerhouse fisherman, and you figured out how to make that happen on that new fishery. You figured out how to get that to on a highland or on a lowland or whatever. And go ahead.
I think piggybacking off of what you're saying is not only fishing your strengths, but if you look at the biggest names, the ones that are consistently successful, winning AOY titles and all that, it's not just knowing your strengths and fishing those, it's also how to adjust within your strengths. And if a shallow water guy that's known for throwing a swim jig pulls up to a body of water and he crushed him in practice on a swim jig, and the first day, the first hour, he's not getting bit on it. He knows to make the top tier guys, they know to make that adjustment in their wheelhouse. They will pick up that buzz bait. They will pick up that, whatever that power fishing they love, that's going to be different that the fish are wanting that day. They will make that adjustment in their wheelhouse. I think that was one of the things I learned this year is making the adjustments in your wheelhouse.
Absolutely. And to end this question on that is that when it goes, everybody as an angler wants to know, hey, how'd you catch him? What'd you do? Right? What's the what's the magic bait?
What's the juice?
What's the magic bait? Oh man, I've used that so many times.
Where we're at. It is as because of social media, there aren't any secrets anymore. Very few. There are some few, but there are very left. And if anything, what we're seeing is we see an old technique that gets cleaned up, that get all the bugs worked out of it, and version 2.0 or 3.0 comes out. Right.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Goes back to a couple of things that I will say goes back to this, and I don't care where we went, whether it was Okeechobee all the way to lacrosse. If you go back, and this is what makes MLF great, and one of their top things that they had done well before any other tournament organization was the top baits, that they would do that top 10 baits.
Oh, yeah.
That's really always, Jody White and the guys over there, and before them it was Kurt Niedermeyer and Kyle Wood and those guys. And when you look at the baits, right, everybody clicks on that gallery.
Oh, I love that top 10.
Oh, yeah.
And you go through it, and you're like, and this is a joke between us three when we were traveling, chatterbaits and Senkos, right? Like you can, you are going to weigh bass in on a bladed jig and a soft plastic stick worm. Yeah. And the thing is that, you look at this though, and then you get to the final, right, where everybody gives out what they did differently to that, right? They either put a Nico weight in there, or they used a different shank hook because those are the things now that we're getting at, is that absolutely it's getting to the point now, man, you have to figure out something a little bit different. Do not reinvent the wheel. You need to learn how to make better tires. That's what definitely I've learned from this year to capitalize on.
We had an angler on two episodes ago, and his question was not what's it biting on, but what depth are you finding the fish? That's a lot of it right there. What depth are you finding? Because if they hungry,
and that could be something as simple as your cadence. If the chatterbait's working, like Joshua Weaver, he was catching fish the first event at Okeechobee behind people because he had that cadence down with the chatterbait. He was catching on the same bait everybody else was throwing, but
100%,
just a total game changer was his cadence.
Absolutely. And that to finish on that, Geek, you made a comment about that, right? That you made some decisions and went back to some places. That's the other thing. There aren't no more secrets. And you look at these tournaments, we all look at them, and they're constantly dominated in community holes, constantly.
Yep.
All about who figured out a certain cadence, went behind somebody, had that total mental confidence in what they were doing, and they were like, I'm going to outfish everyone else in here throwing a bladed jig. I'm going to that definitely for me was the biggest thing, is that you need to absolutely select an area, especially if you're not from there. This is some great advice for this, is that you select an area and you let it happen. You don't make it happen. You let that area develop, and you figure out, hey, they're doing this. The wind change. This happened. The barometer's real high or the barometer's real low. And you're in a good spot. You selected a good area. You did all your homework. That live tournaments are 1 year. Yada, yada, yada. But the guys that just let it happen, those are the guys that catch it.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump on. We're going to jump on to the 9th question because we've been going for quite a while today.
Yeah.
But a lot of questions have been answered, guys. So, this has been pretty freaking awesome. So, really appreciate you guys both coming on tonight, by the way. But, we talk about friendships that are made throughout the year. And, like you said, there's 70 rookie anglers out there that, like yourselves, that were going through, I ain't going to say all of the same issues or ups and downs, but like you, Derik, meeting Bryan at an earlier event, was there another angler that you guys met that, stood out to you all?
Oh my gosh, I met so many great anglers.
Let's narrow it down to a couple. Right?
No, I'm not even going to name drop, because I met so many great anglers this year. And I think one of the things you have to remember is they're all going through the same situation you are.
Mm-hmm.
So you can relate to any of the anglers at that tournament.
100%.
So just go up to them, say hi, talk to them about fishing. You're going to make friends. It's that simple.
For sure, the rookies, for sure, because we're all
Yeah.
battling that same thing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest thing that I will take away from this is, besides the money and all that stuff expensed and everything, because obviously definitely, I finished upside down for the year, but the memories, absolutely, these stories, being able to have this stuff for the rest of my life. And the beautiful thing is, at this level, right, we didn't have co-anglers, we didn't even have marshals, but what you did have, every single angler did have 150 guys, you had your GoPro, you had a camera on, because it was against the rules to not have a camera running at all times. Yeah. So every single guy was able to record their memories of this year. And for me, I took that over the top. You only had to keep your recorded day for 48 hours. But for me, I have, like 9 hard drives. And
good gosh.
Saved it all for multiple reasons. Not only for my memory bank, for the stories to share with my family, and for my future kids and things like that. But man, it goes back to like what you were saying about being a co-angler and remembering all this stuff. I mean, I have it stored away, and those are definitely for me, that those are priceless. Those 8 hard drives, my memories that I got, and the people I met along the way, and the things I got to share with guys on the water, and stories and practice and all kinds of stuff that my camera has recorded, good, bad, and ugly. That stuff's priceless, man, for sure.
Yeah.
So to finish it up, what are your goals for the next tournament season? What do you hope you're going to overcome? What is it that you hope next season's going to bring?
We all, like Geek said, we always ask the question, what was your biggest takeaway from 2023? What you took away from it? It'd be one little sentence, what you took away from it, and then what's your plan, to improve or whatever on it. Who would like to go first?
I'll go ahead. I think the biggest takeaway I had from this year was truly keeping your priorities in perspective. Mine are faith, family, and friends, and fishing is just a bonus at the end of that puzzle. And that's what made, even though I only had 2 checks this year, and in my standards as an angler, I didn't do as good as I wanted to do.
Right.
The journey, the road, the sponsor connections, the closeness I got with God, the love and support I had from my family, and the relationships I made with friends. Across the board, this was a super successful year, and I am pumped about next year. I mean, I can only imagine having a 20-25 year career of all this going on.
Let me hit you. What was one thing that you said you took away this year that that for next year, that will make next year easier for you as an angler?
Definitely taking each day as the day unfolds. It's an 8-hour day, and that might not seem like much time, but every tournament day, if you're just talking from a fishing perspective, not all the behind the scenes stuff, because that's what all the faith, the family, and friends, all of that is behind the scenes. This was an epic year. But if you're just thinking, what fishing I want to plug into next year, taking each 8-hour day as little micro moments, because the key adjustments you can make, like Bryan making that last run in the last minute to go to that spot,
right,
can totally change your tournament. And I got stuck a lot this year on certain things. Like I almost like going through the rounds. I got to skip this next duck, even though I just skipped 52 of them and I didn't get a bite. I got to skip another one because it's on my rotation. But being able to make those adjustments quicker, make your 8-hour day, more beneficial to you. That's truly what I'm taking into next year.
Go for it, Bryan.
Fish fearless. That's definitely was the hardest thing for me to do. But I look back at my last 2 tournaments were my best 2 tournaments, and I fished fearless. The first 4, I fished conservatively. There's no doubt about it. With all the stress and all the stuff, and I cannot stress this enough, is that it's hard to do this, and you get better at it because that experience, right? You put yourself out there, you go through all these trials and tribulations, but I cannot stress enough that was my biggest takeaway is at this level, you cannot fish conservatively. You have to fish fearlessly. Even the guys that had Angler of the Year on the line or the BBT invites, they never stopped fishing fearless. And as soon as you lay up, that's when I'm gonna tell you, man, it just, you can't, you've got to absolutely, and there's a difference. There's a difference between fishing recklessly and fearlessly. Right. There's a fine line there, but you cannot go to these. I know it's cliche, but and we were all warned of this before we started this, and we've all heard the stories of this, is that the guys that are worried about the paycheck, they're worried about cashing the check. Worried about that. As soon as those things get in this thing up here, it's over. You have to. Oh,
no, I was just gonna say I have too much fishing knowledge in my head. I can't remember exactly who said this, but I think it was Rand Polnick. But don't hold me to that. But I remember an angler saying, if you fish every event like you're going to win it, and like that you want to win it, the AOY will come at the end of the year because you are fishing fearlessly every single event. You're trying to win it. You're pushing the buttons. You're going for the win every single time. That the rest will just unfold as the year goes on. Well, that's pretty strong.
Derik, Bryan, man, we appreciate you guys coming on with us tonight. Thank you for an awesome show. Hopefully, guys, you guys get a little bit of tidbit out there of all the information we dropped tonight. Before we leave, Derik, social media, where they can find you and where they can follow your journey in 2024. Season's not over yet for Derik. We got we got some local stuff hanging around here.
Yep.
But where can they follow you, man?
Yeah, I got 2 Anglers Choice Championships coming up at the end of the year. Some more Anglers Choice team trails. I fish with my buddy Bryan Pratak. If you're not fishing those and you're in this Central Virginia, North Carolina area, hands down, one of the best team trails in the world. Always have good turnouts, great payouts, got free food, got great raffles, got everything you could want in a team trail. But yeah, I think that.
What's your Instagram handle?
My Instagram handle is Derik Hudson Fishing, and that's across the board. TikTok, YouTube. And the reason why I was saying, we got a lot more going on this year. We got a giveaway going on right now, guys.
I thought I'd already won, guys.
On my social.
Got the plug going here. Got
the we got a giveaway going on my social media right now. Go to Instagram to get into that giveaway. And
when does it end?
It ends this Friday. So
boom,
you better hurry up and get in there. But super excited.
Bryan, where can I follow you, man?
Bryan Fishing for Instagram and Facebook, and Chasing Little Greenfish for YouTube.
All right, man. Like I said, appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you for talking to us. And guys, we'll be right back. All right, guys, really appreciate everyone listening tonight. Thank you as always. Guys, like I said, Bryan Pratak and Mr. Derik Hudson. Follow them on social media. And don't forget to follow the, Basscast Radio on, we're on Twitter. And we got a page on Facebook, and a lot of you guys have joined the page. Holy cow, I've invited a lot of people over the last couple of episodes, Geek, to the page, because it is, I don't know if it's private or not. I don't think, no, our fantasy fishing is private, but that one's not. So thank you all for joining. We're over 1,000 followers on that page. Listen to Basscast Radio or watch it on YouTube, so you can go there and like it as well. But I appreciate all you guys listening. Don't forget, this weekend, the college guys are fishing. It's a college bass nation championship that's going on right now in Tennessee. So they're about 9 hours away from us because I Googled it today. And then next week is the second from the last Bassmaster Elite event for the 2023 season. I think they go back to back almost. And then the Elite Series is over, and we'll have a fantasy fishing champion for this year. So appreciate all you guys. I think we have like 80-some people playing fantasy fishing with us. So we've been doing that for the last 5 years. I think at one time we were the largest fantasy fishing group. There was a private group. We had almost 150 people playing.
Wow.
So we'll do it again as always next year. We love it. If you have won this year, I think we have one person or two that haven't reached out to me, and I've tried to reach out to them. But we have baits here, guys, that we want to send you because you won. So thank you guys for being a part of that. But have a great week, everyone. Plenty of bass fishing left. Like Derik was saying earlier, we have, Angler's Choice. We got the 5 Alive Championship coming up here locally. That's a big tournament series down in North Carolina. It's guaranteed $5,000, I think, just to the winner for that one. And, like I said, BFLs and a lot of great things happening. So follow Geek. Hit the like button as always. I think I looked at tonight, Geek. 70,000 followers.
We hit 70,400 today.
That is awesome. So congratulations to Geek on that. And
thank you.
Just letting you guys know, we did some stuff to the site. We haven't done it yet, but you will see some changes to the website here really quick. And last but not least, we have a brand new section called Letter to the Editor. And we're getting a lot of feedback from that, and that's starting to pick up. And if you got a letter you want to send in, 500 words, I have all the instructions there, what you need to do. And send it in, and we'll get, let people talk about it, because that's what it's all about, talking about the sport and working out our differences if we have some, and call them. We don't want to call people out, but we want to call the action out, not the person, but the action. So appreciate you guys. Have a great night, and we'll see you guys next week right here on Basscast Radio.
Good stuff, bro.